Welcome everyone to a special episode at the Ball is Round Montreal. My name is Andy Coronado, and today we are joined by none other but the man of the hour, Rocco Placentino, president and co-founder of the CPL's newest franchise, FC Supra du Quebec. How you doing, Rocco?
I'm good. Very busy these days, but it's an exciting busy. So I'm very pumped for what's coming up for this province of Quebec in soccer.
I have the most important question for you right away. Are you used to that title yet? Which
I, I don't look at it.
That's
I have to
amazing.
put it because I have no choice. But I'm always going to be Rocco Placentino. That's never going to change.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and look, we'll get right into the questions. Yeah, and, everybody wants a piece of Rocco, so we're gonna respect your time. And by the way, love the background. Just notice now that's some neat art that you guys
Yes,
got.
the artist on this side is Sticky Peaches. He
Ooh,
famous artist in Montreal, so he designed something pretty cool for Supra. And then on my left, there's on your right, there's that's an image of a banner that was at our launch on September 24th that my son took, and I framed it.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. A little bit of history in the back with Rocco Placentino. So let's get right back into it. So the way we do it, Rocco, is usually we like to look a little bit back, then we go into the present, and maybe into the future. So let's go back a little bit because you were a soccer player, right? You were a soccer player back in your playing days with the Montreal Impact, as well as in Italy, right? I know that you've said it in previous interviews that you've always had doubters, Rocco, throughout your career for different reasons. What would you say was one of the biggest lessons you learned from that period of your life as a player, from the doubters and overcoming all these questions?
Control what you could control. At the end of the day, you make your own path, your own road, and there's always going to be bumps in the road. But in life, at the end of the day, there's I believe in destiny, and you just got to follow your path. And yeah, control what you could control. Things you can't control, it's no point losing your head, your sleep over it because you can't control it. So just yeah, it's that's what I grew up understanding.
And as a player, because you also were here in Montreal as a young kid, if you compare those days compared to today, how you see the soccer world having evolved so much in Montreal, and you being a big chunk of that, and we'll get to that a little bit later. How do you remember Montreal back in your day as a soccer player? How was it in your
A lot
perspective?
of raw talent, a lot of ballers. We didn't have what kids have today. We had a fraction of it, and I guess today, this is we're in 2026, and there's a lot more. The programs are a lot more organized and structured. There's full-time paid employees. They have turf. They have indoor complexes. Back in the day, man, it was cement floors, wood floors in the winter, parent coaches, and it was a lot tougher. And I think I, people say, "Oh, but what if you had what they have today back in the day?" We didn't, so we will never know. But all I know is that back in the day, we it wasn't easy for us, but we made the best out of it, and that's why I feel today a lot of these former players are having a lot of success is because we never give up, man. And it was tough times. It wasn't we didn't have sport we didn't have none of this stuff, and we made our own path. And yeah, kids today should not take what they have for granted. That's for sure.
For sure. And do you think that at that point, maybe the idea, like seeing what the environment was like in Montreal soccer, was it maybe an idea that got planted in your head? Like there's something here that
No,
maybe in the future, or was it really not in your head at all?
no, I always knew it. I always knew that Quebec. Like I have an older brother, and that generation was super strong. And then we just have so many good soccer players here. And the main reason we all know it is because we're a multicultural province, right? We're just every different nationality. And of course, people say that our national sport is hockey. Yeah,
Yeah.
on paper maybe, but in reality, there's so many soccer players, and it's such an easy access sport. All you need is a street. All you need is a park. All you need is a basement. All you need is a room and a ball.
Yeah.
So we were always known for having a very, very good talent here in this province, and it's time that we really expose it.
Yeah, and I think FC Super will do that just fine in the next few years. Is there anything that you would say that maybe you lived throughout those moments as a player that allowed you to be a better sporting director today? I know obviously you're president and co-founder, but as a sporting director in Saint Laurent, would you say anything overcoming those obstacles during that time?
I played in different areas of Italy. I played with the Montreal Impact. I saw how things were ran in Europe with the youth sector, and I just took a lot of these places where I played, and I built my own ideas in my brain, and I went with it. And one thing I always believed is there's always an objective. There's always something more you can do. So you accomplish something. What's next? You accomplish that. What's after that? And I took what I had as a a young adult trying to make it as a pro, then playing as a pro, then retiring as a pro, going back in the workforce with amateur soccer, and I just built on it. And for me, it was never giving up, always believing and going. Which, and I'm a very stubborn person when it comes to these things. So for me, it was the sky's the limit, and where it brought me today is still today for me very surreal, but uh, very possible because I'm here now, right? So it was a long path in my life was soccer. I started as a little boy playing soccer. I'm an older boy now, and I'm still in soccer. So for me, it's a blessing that I think I've always wanted in my life. Maybe not to this level, to be honest, because I was very good being a sporting director in Saint Laurent, and it was a lot easier. But I'm up for the challenge and can't wait to do what I envisioned in the last couple of years.
We'll get to that, and we all everybody wants to hear about Rocco Placentino's vision. I know I do. But once you finish your career as a player, I know you touched on it already a little bit, but can you maybe take us back to the moment in that post playing career that where you maybe started thinking, hey, now it's time to move on from being on the field and maybe take that step back into the back office and start something? Was there something in particular that happened? What was going on in your mind at that point?
So at the end of the day, soccer is at the pro level is a lot of sacrifice. I left at a very young age, staying away from my family, my friends. It was very tough. I was 17 years old, living in Italy by myself. And then when I retired in 2011, of course, it's a bittersweet feeling because you go from the smell of grass every day to not having that, right? So it was a big transition in my life. But I remember when I signed for Saint Laurent in 2011 for peanuts, I didn't really care about the money. And it was really because I got to build a foundation in a club that was in need of a foundation. And we went from 600 players, 650 players to almost 3,000 players in a decade, with lots of success. And it wasn't Rocco himself. It's what I built around me. It's the vibe. It's about when you're showing your peers that you want to work hard and you want to get better and do things that are not different, but just with heart, it pays off. And that mentality for me was always it was installed in me to never give up and work hard and don't cheat and do the right way and and that's where this became. And for me it was a pathway of just working hard, never giving up. And I went from running a little amateur club to one of the best clubs in the nation, to now working for the whole province. So for me it's like I take what I did for Saint Laurent, and it took me 13 years. I was there for 13 years, and now I'm gonna do the exact same thing for the whole province. And people that know me, they know that it's gonna happen. Like I'm not. It's gonna take a lot of work. My peers are gonna have to deal with me each and every day, every minute, because I'm a hammer. I don't stop, and I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Yeah, we're all just as excited as you are. Now, I do just want to kind of go back to that question I was asking. So, did you by any chance, was there any point that you maybe had doubts that you wanted? Because I know you talked about being paid pennies. And when I spoke to Mateo as well, Cabanet, he told me that at the beginning was very difficult. It was almost volunteer work. Was there any doubts about embarking in that project with Saint Laurent? Or was it a no brainer for you? You absolutely wanted to be a part of that.
I want to build it. For me, I got the opportunity to build something my way, and make other people understand what my vision was. And like I said, it wasn't about the money. Later on in my career in my amateur world, I had a lot of success and I made more money, but it was all earned. It was all sweat and tears, man. It was the emotional coaster ride, man. Lots of ups and downs, but that's life's all about challenges, right? And
Yeah.
for me, it was a huge challenge in my life, going from making a certain amount of money playing pro soccer to almost making nothing.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, I'll get back to making almost the same amount of playing as a pro soccer player, but putting 100 hours a week. So and that's why today, it's a message for everybody. I say it's no one could tell you no. No one could tell you it's impossible. That word doesn't exist. You gotta believe in yourself and just strive. That's what it is.
Yeah. Of course. And I know that you were talking about a vibe, about a vibe at Saint Laurent that you build over time and all that. But what it seems like it is that you set a really, really high standard. Also, like I told you when I spoke with Matteo and all that, it just seemed like you guys just had a dynamic that was just a. And I heard in previous interviews that you also wanted to treat the club almost like it was a pro club, even if it was a semi-pro club with the coaching staff, which are, um, many would say that you put the club in the map not only in Quebec, Rocco, but you also put it in Canada. When we talk about CF Saint Laurent, how did you get your players and staff to buy in and believe in the project that you were proposing for so long?
My energy, my willingness, my determination, and when people are feeling it from the person that's running it, it's very contagious. And Saint Laurent was building blocks. We start from scratch, and when Matteo joined us in Saint Laurent 6 7 years ago, he understood what I wanted to do. And Matteo has the same drive. He's a guy that loves to work. He's a guy that has vision, and we strive together. And there's many more guys. There's Kwame Ansa, there's Maxwell Aaron, there's Jack Marzliano, all these guys, and then other clubs that today are striving. AS Laval, Lakeshore, LaSalle. Like there's so many clubs out there that are just following suit and working their tails off to be the best amateur club they can be and to produce players as much as they can. And at the end of the day, is to keep kids happy and make them play this beautiful sport at the highest level that they could play.
Yeah, for sure. And when you see, well, you saw the success of an Ismael Kone, a Moise Bombito, and amongst others at a much higher level. I mean, that those names will always be linked to CS Saint Laurent and Rocco Placentino's work. How did that feel? How did it feel? How important was it when motivating? Better said, let me ask the question better. How much did it motivate you to continue believing into the idea of a CPL team in Quebec when you see that kind of success?
Everything has a story, right? And these are two players that are writing the story with us. I got to watch Ismael Kone at the World Cup in Qatar. I got to watch Ismael Kone and Moise Bombito at Copa America last year against Argentina.
Incredible.
I would have never thought that years ago. And when it happened, it just the sky's the limit. Don't ever give up. Keep on going. And there was barriers and barriers to go through. And the biggest barrier was a CPL team because it was we didn't have one. And people tried. Believe it or not, there was a lot of people that tried and haven't had success. And because it's very tough to obtain a franchise in CPL. And those are all stories. Saint Laurent, Ismael Kone, Moise Bombito, our semi-pro team beating Halifax, playing Toronto FC. I went to bed at night saying, I have a new project in my mind, and I didn't stop. I didn't stop.
That's very interesting because that almost leads me to a natural question: is what is Rocco Placentino's limit? What is his ultimate goal today? Because if I ask you 10 years ago, you might tell me a CPL team or making CS Saint Laurent. But what is Rocco Placentino's goal today?
The goal, it's been the same since 2011, is developing players. That's my goal. My goal is to develop players, and now we just have the chance to develop them and expose them at the highest level they could play in Canada. Besides the CF Montreal that plays in the North American League of MLS, but it's to show these kids of all these clubs saying one day it could be you. One day it could be you playing with FC Supra and maybe leading you to playing with a big team in Europe or whatever. So very grateful, and my ideas will never change. I'm going to stick to my guns and just keep on going forward.
That's awesome. And just to kind of finish the CS Saint Laurent, because we're here to talk about FC Supra, you had a very, very successful. I don't even know if the word successful is the right word to use while you were a sporting director at CS Saint Laurent. But on a personal level, Rocco, what would you say were some of the challenges you may have faced over the years that a lot of people maybe didn't know that you were going through, that you didn't know you went through, that made you into who you are today?
My family. It was never being home. I was building a brand, and my family paid the price. My wife, my kids, my parents, my in-laws. It was tough. It was. I was on the fields every night and every day and every weekend. The sacrifices I've made for this club, and for this beautiful sport, are were all good sacrifices. I don't regret one of them. But when you're missing missing your kids' birthdays and missing this, that,
Mm.
is people don't know that. And that was for me the biggest struggle, because at the end of the day, business struggles are business struggles. You have ups and downs. It's that's what it is. But for me, it was the sacrifice of not being home with my family, watching my wife being home with little young toddlers by herself, and yeah. So the a lot of the strength I have is thanks to what I have here back home. That's for sure.
Did you promise your wife, don't worry, I'm creating something for them when they're gonna play soccer?
No, yeah, no. I actually, I said, and she believes whenever I say something, she believes in it,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
then, but now we're back at never being home again,
Yes.
working again, but like it's for a different reason now. So it's like I'm changing the landscape not only of a community but of a province. So
Yeah.
huge challenge, but I can't wait. I really can't.
I remember on the night of the inauguration, you stood in the podium and you said, "Yeah, it's only gonna get worse from here." Looking straight at your wife, I was like, "Oh, he's not wrong." But let's go ahead and move on to your new baby, FC
Yeah.
Supra du Quebec, which was officially unveiled in September. I kind of mixing Saint Laurent here with FC Supra. At what point, when you were a sporting director, does FC Supra or even a CPL team start becoming a reality for you, Rocco? Where like when is it like, oh shit, this is happening actually? You know?
Um, the idea started roughly 5 years ago, where I would whisper to guys like Nick DeSantis and Mike Vitolano and say, guys, I think I want to try and obtain bring a CPL team here. And they were like, Rock, you're crazy, but go for it. And then from that idea, that became a project. I would say the last 2 years, it got very, very serious, meeting certain individuals of the likes of Matt Rosetta from New York, that already has several soccer teams in the world of soccer, and Angelo Pasto were the main guys that saw the success I did with Saint Laurent at the semi-pro level, and with Moise and with Isma, and led to deeper, serious conversations. And then this past year, I'm talking about it, and my hands are sweating. This past year, there was days I woke up and I said to my wife, "The project is dead." And there's days I woke up and I said, "Oh my God, we're almost there." And it was a really very hard to explain roller coaster ride that only my wife could understand what I went through. But finally, the day came, August 19th, where we flew to Toronto. I pitched the CPL board my project, and it was granted. And then it was to raise money, and I fell on two uh, high level profiles here in Quebec, which is Jean-François Chenay and Stéphane Tetreault. um, and they loved my idea, they loved my project, and they bought in. And then there was other smaller investors that today um, are investors because they believe in my project. So it wasn't hard to sell. It was, when you sell with a heart, that's never hard. And what's important is that we have it now, and now the real work starts.
I think everybody now sees the final product, the success, Rocco, that you mentioned of the process. But you also mentioned that it was a conversation, a very personal conversation between you and your wife, where there were down moments where you thought the project was dead. Walk us a little bit through that. Like, how did you overcome some of those moments of doubt, some of those moments that maybe you needed to push a little bit extra to continue striving for a CPL team here in Quebec?
For those people that know me, there's two things that I don't believe in: is impossible and negativity. Negativity, I shrug it off. There's no negativity in my life. I always try and find a solution when there's something that bad happens in my life, or my family's life, or my colleagues' life. I always try and find ways to brush it off and make it into a positive. So I think if I didn't have that mentality, I'm not judging anyone, but like, a lot of people probably would have thrown in the towel for sure. It
Mm.
was, yeah, yeah. There was some ups and downs that were like I said, inevitable, and I just went through it, and I never give up. I never give up. When there was something that happened, I made sure I fixed it, and when it happened again, even worse, I tried to fix it again. So, and today, we're talking about FC Supra. So
Yeah, it's a real thing. It happened. Bravo, Rocco. And like, what you said, this started maybe 5 years ago. As the process starts happening, were you aware of maybe some of the struggles you were going to face today? Did you think of it? Was it bigger? Was it less? Maybe what did you?
the yeah, the three main struggles were to obtain a franchise application approved, to find investors, and to find a stadium. Those are the three main struggles, because to find hardworking people, we have a lot of that in Quebec. To find good quality soccer players, we have a ton of those in Quebec. So the fun part of the football part, the soccer part of it, I wasn't worried at all. It was more on the business side of filling out a expansion application, finding investors, and finding a place to play, and everything with time. The stars aligned, because if one of those three things don't happen, we're not here talking today.
That's true.
Impossible.
Mm.
Which I don't believe in that word.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And you talked about a natural marriage where people like their talents, players, and all that. But you teamed up with Nick DeSantis, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, which who was coming off the project with the Roses FC, and Mateo Cabanets, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, and Nick Razagi to spearhead this project in 2026 with you. How important was it to have all of them together in this with you to be able to take on that first year?
Well, Mateo is a person that I know he will go to war with me each and every day. So that was a no brainer. Nicholas Rizagi, I believe, deserved the opportunity to be at the next level. And it was just an easy fit because I know how he works. So, we have a short runway. We start the season in 3 months. So the process of elimination on coaches, we had a lot of CVs, but when you have a guy like Nick Rizagi in front of you and you understand how he works, it was a lot easier to make a decision on. And then Nick DeSantis, I had him as a player, as a coach, as a GM, he did everything with the Impact Montreal. Having a guy like him, overlook us and be an advisor for us is crucial. He's been through this night and day for 26 years of his life. So having a consigliere, like I call him, like DeSantis, by our side, I'm going to say, is just incredible. We're very fortunate.
Yeah, well, Nick DeSantis is Montreal soccer. He knows it
Yeah,
in and out.
I say. I always say
He's
that.
he's seen it from the ground up with the Montreal Impact, as well as developed two clubs today. It's incredible, and I think you guys are very lucky to have him on your side.
Yeah.
So can you maybe tell us now about the league, right? In the CPL, how has the support been around the league? Has there been maybe any person in particular or any club in particular in the CPL that has been an important influence in learning the CPL and learning this whole process for you guys?
Yeah, well, the league of CPL, to obtain the franchise, there was some key players like Marnie Dicker, Laura Armstrong, Costas Jimenez that really, really, really helped us obtain this franchise. And then ever since we got the franchise, the league's been very cooperative, very helpful in certain domains where we need help. And also other teams, I've had certain conversations with some of the owners, some of the CEOs, some of the coaches. Everybody wants this league to grow, and they've been very welcoming for the FC Supra, and so we thank them each and every day that they help us. So it's for us it's something brand new, fresh out of the oven, newborn, and they're willing to give their time and energy to help us out.
That's awesome. Until the season starts,
Yeah, exactly. Then
it was nice knowing you, right?
exactly.
Since since your announcement in September of the team, would you say that there's been any maybe early small victories and maybe any early big victories? I know it's a two-part question, but any
A lot of firsts, right? First, first ever CPL team in Quebec, first ever president, first ever uh, employee, first ever GM, first ever coach. It's all a lot of firsts,
mm,
and that's always a celebration. And at the
right?
end of the day, we take it each and every day. But every person that joined FC Supra till now is here for the love of the club, what the project entails, and even the players. Negotiations with players wasn't hard. You're selling them something to come back home and kick ass here in Montreal, Quebec,
Yeah.
and I have done it. I give them my experience of playing with the Montreal Impact back in the day, and when you play for your home city, it's a different vibe. It's a different mentality, and if you're not willing to sacrifice for your brother next to you, or for your, the person or the kid coming and watch you play that plays for an amateur club, then this project's not for you. And
Yeah.
the message was very clear from the get go. And yeah, so we're extremely excited for every first thing that comes our way.
I think one of the things that also makes FC Supra very special today, the people I've spoken to, David Chouanière, I've spoken to Matteo Cabanets, as I mentioned, or Nick, everybody has the same message that you have, Rocco. They all say the same thing. They have a deep, deep belief in this project and the talent in Montreal, and they're ready to go to war with you, as you said. It's incredible. I mean, is this how do you do it? Like, that's what I want to know. How did this message get ingrained in their heads, and how are they
You
seem to
know,
want to run through a wall for you.
Andy, is I never script anything in my life. I'm not the most, for people that know me, not the most organized person, but I'm all about passion, all about heart. I'm a family guy. I've been raised by my parents that did a fantastic job with me and my siblings. I'm all about family, and for now, FC Supra is a newborn family that I'm going to cherish, and make everybody around me feel the reason why, and just each and every day love this club for the rest of the time.
Absolutely. And now I know we talked a little bit of victories, and Rocco told me he doesn't like to talk about negativity, but I do also want to know, were there maybe some early on struggles since your announcement in September that you faced that maybe you weren't expecting? And how did you guys overcome that? What yeah, how did you guys overcome
Yeah,
that?
well, look, on the player perspective, it's normal. There's certain players that we would want to sign where it was very difficult because they're under contract elsewhere. So, and we feel that these three or four different players would have made a huge difference already in year one. But I think that all in all, the players that we had on our database, we're very happy with all the selections so far. Then on the business side, finding sponsors, selling tickets. These are all things that each and every day we're going to have to push hard to make sure that I think we just people need to see what we are, and once that happens, everything takes. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Hmm.
I always say you got to walk before you run. You got to crawl before you walk. And right now we're crawling, and we're gonna one day start walking, and then we're gonna start one day start jogging, and then start running, and then
Yeah, yeah.
it takes time. But the struggles are going to be there when you're a startup company. The struggles are there each and every day. If I was here to say, yeah, everything's good, we're flying, I'd be lying to you. There's a struggle, but like I said, you take the struggles, you work on them, you find solutions, and you move forward.
100%. And I want to ask you about one little thing here before we move on to the future of FC Supra. Last week when the training camp started, you got all the players together in one room and the coaching staff, and it was a special moment. We weren't there in the room to listen to what the message was and all that, but could you maybe walk us through as to why that moment was important for you to be had there in that moment on the first day of training camp for your team?
That was the first ever speech that I was able to give to all our players, all our coaching staff, all the Supra staff, whoever works for Supra. It was the first inaugural message from Angelo Pasto, which is one of the major investors, Matteo Cabinet, and Nick DeSantis, and myself. And it wasn't easy. It was very emotional. I When Angelo gave me the word, I had a tough start because of I had a lot of, to see a full fledged soccer team in front of my eyes. I felt that was the first time I felt that this was real, because we work night and day, and we don't have, we never have the time to embrace what we're doing. And for me, it was a full circle moment to see all my peers and my colleagues and our players as one big family. And the message was very strong, and it all came from the heart. It all came from within, and I saw the eyes in my players. I saw the eyes in our staff, and they know what this means. They know what this means, and it's about culture. It's about pride, local pride. It's about you know working hard, showing people that they were wrong, and just moving forward in a direction where there's no more excuses. There's no more excuses. We got a team, we got players, we got a staff. Now it's for us to show Quebec what we're made of, and it's going to take time. It's not going to be easy, but the message was very clear from the get go, and that last Wednesday was a very special moment for myself because I really saw everybody that I put in place for FC Supra, and it was very special.
Mm.
I am touched even now talking about it because
Yeah,
it's in my veins now. It's never going to go away. It's very contagious, and I'm grateful to be in this position right now.
absolutely. Now that kind of leads me to a question that actually my co-host Elias had asked. He wanted to know. You've had victories as a player. You scored the first goal in Stat Saputo. You've had many other beautiful, I'm sure, moments you've had in your personal life, children as well. You look at this moment, even you talking about it, I get goosebumps, Rocco. How would you compare these kind of victories in your life and these moments that you lived, and yeah, where would you put that moment that you lived?
I'm grateful, honestly. For me, to have certain moments that I lived in my life, whether it was scoring the first goal at Supra Stadium or whether it was winning a championship in 2009 or playing against AC Milan, like
Hmm.
on the professional aspect, I've lived amazing moments that, you know, I could always look back at and say, wow, that really happened. And those things all led to, me starting, marrying a beautiful wife, my wife, Jennifer, my kids, that is my pride and joy. And then this, right? Like I'm grateful for all these opportunities, and like you could ask my wife. I never thought I was going to get married. It was never in my agenda, and I did. I got married to a beautiful girl, an amazing wife, an amazing mom. I have two amazing children. I have an amazing support system with my immediate family, my in laws, my brother in law, my sister in law, and I believe that, Andy, in life, man, if you're good to people, people are good back to you. And I never had enemies in my life. I was always a easygoing person, and it led to all this, right? And for me, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for all these opportunities, and this is a big one. This is a huge opportunity in my life. No matter where it goes, I could always say I created it, and for me,
Yeah.
that is never gonna. No one could ever take that away from me, ever.
Yep.
But I'm not going anywhere. This is just the beginning, and I want to show, you know, I want to create more of these memories and these opportunities and these grateful moments that I create in my life, right? And I'm only gonna do it with the people that are around me. That's for sure.
And there's very few people in this world that can say what you just said, Rocco, where I've created something that will be here forever and till my dying day, right? And when I spoke to Philippe Lafont, he has that same kind of pride about creating the Montreal Impact Academy, where it's something that to this day is very, very important.
Amazing.
Um, how does it feel to hold that badge, Rocco? Because we haven't even kicked a ball yet. We haven't played a game yet, but you already have that badge, and nobody can take that away from you. How?
Build on it. It's to build on it, and I always say it. Words are words. It's action speaks much more than words. And at the end of the day, if we're locked in what we want to do, and you use an amazing example of Philippe, what he created with the CF Montreal or Impact Academy back in the day. I saw him work, man, and he is fantastic at what he does.
Mm.
And these are people that I look up to. This is why I'm here. Like I've met so many great people in my life, Andy, like Mark Dos Santos, Mauro Biello, Nevio Pizzolito, Joey Saputo himself. Like we're here talking about soccer today because of family like them.
Mm.
Um, and there's so many people that I took so many bits and pieces from them and made it my own. And Supra, like you said, is I wear the badge. I'm always gonna have that badge, and but there's so much more that we're gonna offer. It's I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Super excited. And look, I told you earlier, Rocco, I was listening to a few of your interviews in the past. There was an interview that you gave last year in June. You went to on TSN, and and you were asked, Rocco, if you had all the money in the world, what would you buy? Paul de Ballet asked you that. And your answer, you didn't even flinch for a second. You said, bring a CPL team. You said it like that.
Yeah.
It's real. It happened. your wish came true that you said at that radio show? You probably already knew, but it doesn't matter. You said it
No,
that
not
moment.
really. It was we're working on it, but like you said, if it just came out, and if I did win the lottery, I had the chance to get a CPL team, yeah, I would have done it, and I still did it not winning the lottery. So it's hard to explain, Andy. It really is. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that's it. I just wanted to kind of know how that felt, but you kind of, I think you already touched on it a lot. That it's a very special moment for you. Now, I just want to kind of move on to. I know I've taken a lot of your time, Rocco.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that. So I wanted to touch on also because I asked Marina Pichon, who was the sporting director for Roses FC on the women's side,
Yeah.
the same question last year, because we know about the struggles that CF Montreal, Montreal Impact have had in getting support from the city for certain things. Is this something that maybe you faced? Has it maybe changed a leaf in that sense, where the city is very supportive of you guys and encouraging you guys to grow as a club here in Montreal?
We're gonna have to build those relationships. We're not there quite yet because we're so busy with other stuff. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's not easy. It is a struggle, and this project's a bit different. This project is a local project. It's players from here. We hope that we will have the support and help from cities, from the province, from just different people that are going to understand what it's so important for us to have a female pro soccer team in our province. Now we have two male pro soccer teams in our province, but it makes sense. We have 200,000 kids that play soccer.
Mm.
You need to care about that, right? And sometimes, and look, it's not easy. Like when I was in Saint Laurent, I would bother the mayor and his team each and every week. I was a hammer on them, and a lot of things we got and a lot of things we didn't get. But if you don't try, you don't know, right? And the day's gonna come where I'm gonna stop bothering the province and the cities as well.
No,
So
you're not. If I've learned anything from Rocco in these past 30 minutes, he's never gonna stop. But but look, it's just the truth. I'm sorry, but the truth is that here in Montreal, soccer teams are fighting an uphill battle with hockey. It's just, I'm sorry, it's maybe it's gonna change with the World Cup. And I'm sure it's something that you've probably faced already at Saint Laurent a lot. Sometimes young kids or parents, even parents, making choices for the kids that they'd rather them go play hockey for whatever reason, right? Is this something also that you've kind of like maybe seen change over time? Do you think that
well,
that there's a big.
soccer, look, like or not, hockey is our national sport. It's never going to go away, and it's been here for a very long time. And soccer is going to have to adapt to hockey. It's always going to be that way. It's never We're never going to take over the Habs. We're never going to take over hockey. Hockey's hockey, man. It is what it is. But we do what we have to do for soccer, and we just have to stick in our lane, do what we feel is best for our sport. And my son plays both hockey and soccer. Like I love kids that play multi sports, and I love hockey myself. I'm a crazy Habs fan. I love the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's part of our culture, right?
Yeah.
The Habs is the Habs, and but soccer is a sport it's each and every day. We have to just chip away until people realize that you know what. And I'm going to say the truth, Andy. We've gotten support. Like is it what we need? Like, are we where we're supposed to be? Maybe not. But there's more complexes. There's more domes because the problem is the winter, right?
Hmm.
Right now it's minus 40 outside.
Like
So
yeah.
it's having, if every arrondissement could have their own bubble or their own complex, that would be ideal.
Hmm.
And we need it because we have a lot of soccer players. In terms of stadium, big challenge, big challenge. And it costs a lot of money to run a pro game, and that's the biggest struggles are the business side. It's We need more support, and
Yeah.
the cities or the provinces eventually going to have to understand that, or else you won't have pro teams anymore in the city or in the province.
100%. And it's like you mentioned, the weather, the change of everything. Like you look at the weather outside tonight. We're on a Monday night. There's a snowstorm and all that, and you think I can't play soccer here, or I don't want to do it, right? So, but anyways, I had a question for you. So similar to CS Saint Laurent, we talked about the standards that you set there. How do you plan? Well, it's not just you, right? You're gonna have also your sporting director and your coach. But how do you plan on setting the standard for FC Supra du Quebec as high as you did during your time with CS Saint Laurent?
They got to feel it. Mateo, Nick DeSantis, all the guys that and the girls that work for our club, they understand what this is, and the standards are we want to be an example in the CPL. Those are our standards. We want to have a top technical team. We want to have a top medical team. We want to have our own training facility. These are all things that a lot of CPLs don't have, and we want to have those standards. And we start off on the right foot. We're going to have our own training center. It's being built. It's going to be ready in the month of March. It's going to be a headquarters of FC Supra. Players, admin, physios, doctors, media. It's a one-stop shop right under the roses. And build off those things, because if you're able to have these high standards, everything else is easier to obtain in terms of results, not only on the field but in the club, right? And if you put a player, I always believe this, but if you put a player in the best environment possible to succeed, it's easier. Not because you have the best player that makes the most money, but just because they're grounded in an environment where they want to stay at the facility all day long. Like, I want my players not to just do 2 hours and go home. I want them to do 2 hours, go see the physio, go train in the gym, go watch TV in our lounge area, go eat lunch. So the standards are pretty high for a CPL team, but that's non-negotiable. Like, when I got this team, having guys like Mateo next to me and Nick DeSantis, we all see that the same way. Our coaching staff sees that the same way. Nick Berzaghi is very demanding. Good, we want that. Players are very demanding. Good, we want that. Because once you have all those things together, results happen. They do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've actually managed to bring in some recognizable names in Montreal, such as I mentioned earlier, David Chouanière. I mean, everybody knows the last name Chouanière. Sean Rea, Alessandro Biello. I mean, these are big last names, along with some other players that were also under your tutelage. We can talk about Louis Kwemi as well. How are you feeling about the roster you've managed to put together? Now, I know this is probably more of a question for Mateo, but I still want to know how are you feeling about the roster so
Yeah,
far?
I think that Nick Berzaghi, Mateo, and the whole crew did a fantastic job on the player selections. There's a player like Sissako that's just won a championship with Ottawa. You mentioned Sean Rea, David Chouanière, but there's so many players, Andy, that are in this team that deserve the chance, and now they have it. And they're players that no one knows who they are. They're gonna know. And look, I believe that it's very early to tell where Supra is going to be doing what we're going to be doing this year on the field. We're going to play some exhibition games in the next month or two, but I do feel very comfortable so far on what we have put together as a roster. There is a couple of missing links, and if it's not for this year, it's for next year. I know that for sure. We're starting off on a good foot, but I know that next year it's going to be even stronger.
Are we gonna get any scoops from Rocco Placentino?
No scoop.
Nah. So,
Possible.
so let's talk about the future, okay? So I know you talked about a little bit about the games that you're gonna play and all that, and we don't know, like you mentioned. But what are some maybe short term things that you're looking forward to the most with FC Super, and maybe after a little bit long term, what you're looking for most forward with FC Super?
Getting into the community, making the community understand what we're all about. It's a must. This is a team made from here for here, c'est une équipe d'ici pour ici, and that's never going to change. And that's off the gates. That's what's very important. And we already started getting involved with community clubs because that's going to give us energy. It's going to give us the fuel to go on the field and explode. And so short term, that's what it is. It's about getting into the community, making people understand what Super is all about, and making our players feel that, wow, this is real, And so that's for me the most important thing.
Obviously, and you talked about it. There's a lot of buzz right now. FC Supra. We actually had the On Some Foot podcast last week, and they are buzzed about the FC Supra coming to town. And it sounds like the podcasters are talking the same language that Rock was talking. So it's spreading the message. But there's a lot of buzz, and also from a lot of the fans that maybe are disappointed by the past seasons of CF Montreal. So they kind of want to see a brand new brand of soccer, if you want. How important is it that to keep this buzz going for this 2026 season and future seasons with entertaining soccer in the field?
Yeah, look, for us, the philosophy of the way we play is definitely a good brand of soccer. You won't see any kick and run. It's definitely be exciting football, attacking football. At the end of the day, we're going to be the best that we could be in the CPL. And it's about understanding what the FC Supra's identity is all about, which is local pride, and that never gets old, right? It's just the beginning, and we're going to build on that and make it as big as possible. And do we want to see another CPL team in Quebec City tomorrow? Yeah, of course. I think that would be amazing to have a rivalry of a team of FC Supra against a team in Quebec City. So for us, it's just so many things to put down on the ground, and we are. And I'm very proud of what my staff and everybody else is accomplishing for FC Supra. We're grateful for an amazing ownership group that trusts us and believes in us. And like I said before, the sky's the limit in what we could do with FC Supra, and we can't wait.
Look, I've taken up a lot of your time. I have a billion questions for you, Rocco, but obviously you got a team to build, and I'm just here sitting doing a podcast. But I did want to ask you a few last questions just to bother
Yes,
you.
yeah, no,
I told you a little bit earlier that I had a very very important question for you, but I have another question for you.
go ahead.
Very important, very difficult.
Go ahead.
Championship game, Italy versus Canada. Who is Rocco? What jersey is Rocco Placentino wearing? You got your Ismael Kone there, Moise Bambito there, and you got Italy on the
It
other side.
depends what the score is during the game.
That's a great answer.
No,
Yeah.
honestly,
He'll be the referee.
yeah, but that's just that's like a double win, right? It's a
Yeah,
win.
yeah, yeah,
I
hundred
have,
percent.
my country where I was born and raised. I have the country where I played soccer for almost a decade. If it is Canada, Italy, June 12th, I'm definitely at that stadium. Yeah, we'll see if I can get a jersey done that's, half Canada, half Italy,
It's
so
been done in the past. Why not again?
exactly, exactly.
Pigs or Putin?
Pizza, man, but I love poutine too. Both, both.
I said I can ask him 12 questions, quick fire, but then I said I just have two questions for Rocco, and I think that'll be more than challenging. Look, Rocco, thank you so much for having joined us tonight. I know I took a lot of your time, but my God, you are so passionate, and you're putting so much, so many opportunities for so many kids that it was either CF Montreal or nothing or elsewhere, right? So very important, not just you, Rocco, everybody around you, and thank you so much for giving some time to the ball is round.
Pleasure.
We absolutely appreciate you having come with us tonight, and we wish you nothing but the best for the 2026 season.
See you on the pitch.
Yes.
Thank you, Andy.